Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
J. Edgar Hoover thought this show was too loud, too raucous, and did not give the impression of the FBI that he wanted it to be given. So it went from being G-Men to Gangbusters. This program, originally broadcast on April 10th, 1948, is entitled The Case of the High School Hotshots.
Now, Gangbusters, presented in cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States. The only national program that brings you authentic police case histories.
Tonight, Gangbusters presents the case of the High School Hotshots, who killed and robbed to buy their girlfriends a good time, but who found that a love letter in the hands of alert detectives could lead the way straight to the electric chair.
Gangbusters has asked the Honorable C.L. Westover, former sheriff of Wayne County, Mississippi, to narrate by proxy tonight's case. Sheriff Westover, I know you have a purpose in telling tonight's case.
I have, Don Gardner. As you'll see, I brought a 15-year-old guest to the studio whom we'll hear from later.
Well, then, why don't you start right in, Sheriff?
All right, Don. I think we ought to begin in a small city in Alabama, Maline. At the local bus station one afternoon, the 4 o'clock coach for Mobile was just about ready to pull out. All the passengers were aboard except one, a striking but overly dressed young woman. She was engaged in a prolonged farewell with a handsome youth who appeared to be a few years younger.
All right, now take care of yourself, baby.
Oh, I will, Joe, for you.
Now, if everything goes all right, I ought to be in Mobile by the 1st, and I'll bring you a present. A real present.
Oh, Joe, honey, would you? Oh, goodbye, Joe.
Oh, just a second. Shim, come here, will you?
I've got to hurry, Joe.
Yeah, Joe, what is it?
Madge wants to say goodbye to you, Shim.
Oh, thanks.
Goodbye, Shim. You're a nice kid. I hope we can get together again real soon.
Gee, same here.
So long, Madge, baby.
Oh, Joe. Joe.
Go on, they'll leave without you.
Goodbye, Joe. Right.
Have a good trip, Madge.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Sure, Joe. Well, there she goes, huh, Joe?
I'll see her again soon.
Hey, she's waving to you.
Yeah.
Joe, did she really promise she'd fix it up for me with that friend of hers?
I told you she promised, didn't I?
But did you ever see her friend? Is she okay?
Isn't Madge okay?
Well, she sure is.
And so's her friend. Come on, Shim, let's get out of here. I got a lot to show you before we can start thinking about any dames.
Yeah.
Jackson bus leaving in 5 minutes. Jackson bus leaving.
You nervous, Shim?
Sure I'm nervous. Weren't you the first time?
Me? I never was nervous. Never in my life. First time was like the last and all of them in between. You go in, you stick a gun on a guy, you get the dough, that's all.
But, Joe, suppose a guy puts up a fight.
Suppose he does. What do you get your gun for?
You mean?
That's what I mean. Now, look, Shim, nobody that's got any sense is gonna argue with you. You got no worries. You just tell the filling station guy you want to use the phone.
I hope it comes off all right.
It will. There's nothing to it. We're really wasting our time with this filling station.
Wasting time? Well, then let's skip it, huh?
Skip it, nothing. The easiest one you can start with, the better off you are. All right, there we are. Now get set. I'm going to pull in.
Look, Joe.
What?
Well, Oh, nothing.
Now just take your time. You'll be all right. I'll go out and do the talking.
Yep, how many, Uncle?
Fill her up, will you, friend? We got a lot of driving to do tonight.
Right, fill her up. Regular special.
Special. Say, you got a phone in there?
Sure, help yourself. My partner inside will show you where it is.
Go on, pal. Make your call.
Okay.
Come on, slide out this side.
All right. You say so.
Go on now, get going, will you?
Okay, I'll be right out.
How's the oil, young Phil?
Oil's okay.
Nice car you got here. Whose is it, your father's?
Oh, it's my brother's.
Well, that's so. Well, he's got a good one, all right. If I were getting, I'd get one of these. Yes, sir, young fella. Awful nice car.
All right, don't move.
Okay, young fella.
Just keep filling that tank. Just keep filling till this gun's liable to go off. That's it. All right, it's enough gasoline. Screw on the cap.
Yeah.
Good. Now drop the hose right there. Go on, drop it. Give me that changer.
What?
Come on, give it here. That's better. Now the bills. Come on, the bills.
Okay.
That's it, thanks.
Okay, I got it all.
Well, take it easy. Get the car started.
Hurry up, will you?
All right, mister. Here's something to keep you quiet. Okay. Now, get moving.
Yeah. How'd I do, Joe? Did I do okay?
You did fair.
Boy, I hope that girl Madge lines up for me is okay. I sure hope so.
Don't worry about the girl now. We gotta ditch this car and get away from here. There's a lot of work to do before we see any girls in Mobile. Hello, Shim.
Where you been, Joe? I'm awful hungry.
Looking over to town. Oh, by the way, if you want to get your suit pressed, there's a good tailor across the way. Just a block us from the hotel here.
No, it's all right. There's no sense in having anything pressed. Don't look like we're ever getting to Mobile. Come on, let's... Oh, say, I went by the post office. There was a letter for you.
Well, come on, hand it over. What are you waiting for?
It's on the dresser.
Guy's got a letter. You don't even tell him anything about it.
I forgot.
Ah, it's from Madge, all right. Hey, get a load of this perfume.
Yeah, I got a load of it already. See if she says anything about that girl for me.
Cheer up, will you, Shim? You'll have your girl.
Well, I'd sure like to know when.
Soon.
It better be pretty soon. I'm getting awful tired taking dough off guys for nothing.
Now, take it easy, Shim. We're going to get to Mobile a lot sooner than we figured.
No kidding?
No kidding. You know all those turpentine distilleries out in the woods? We saw something drive them in, remember?
What about them?
Well, tomorrow is payday. And all the payrolls are delivered by one guy.
Hey, a payroll's big stuff.
You bet your life it's big. And we're going to get it. They tell me this guy just loves to pick up hitchhikers. Tomorrow he's going to have himself a couple of hitchhikers, us.
But, Joe, if he carries a payroll, he's got a gun for sure.
So we got 2 guns. Just let me handle it. Let me handle it. We'll be in Mobile by Sunday. Now, let's see what Madge has to say.
Yes, sir, it's a mighty lonely job, driving around all day, all by myself. That's why I don't mind giving young chaps like you a lift. Got somebody to talk to.
Somebody to talk to always helps.
Yeah. Hey, you back there. You don't seem to like to do much talking.
Oh, I do lots of talking. When I got something to talk about.
Well, I reckon that's a good idea. Don't talk unless you got something to talk about. Look, boys, my first stop's about a mile or so down. Now, if you want to wait in a car while I run in the turpentine distillery a minute, why, I'll carry you further.
I think your first stop's going to be right here.
What do you mean?
It means he's got a gun on you, mister. You better pull off the road right here.
Oh, so that's the way it is.
That's the way it is. Now get the car off the road and stop.
Okay. Is this all right?
Watch him.
I'll show you.
Oh, no, you don't.
Oh, you hit him awful hard, Joe.
Yeah, but he's going to get worse. All right, now, come on. Push him out this way.
Look, Joe.
Come on, push him, will you? Come on.
Okay. Oh.
Shut up, you.
What are you doing, Joe?
Come on. Into the ditch with him. Let's go.
Okay.
Push.
Watch him. Watch him. Gee, Joe, I think he's hit pretty bad. Let's get out of here.
Wait a minute. This guy'd recognize us anyplace.
You think he would?
If he's dead, they'll never find out about us. We gotta plug him.
Joe, you're kidding.
Stand back there.
Joe.
Shut up. Now watch.
Joe, put that gun away. Let's get out of here.
Quiet.
What'd you have to do it for?
I did it. Let me tell you something. but you go getting cold feet. You're just as guilty as me. You understand that, don't you?
Honest, I don't know whether all this is worth... Hey, your car.
It's all right. Turn off that crossroads down there. Come on, let's get out of here. Go on, get in. Get in. We'll ditch the car and then travel. We got a lot of dough to travel on now.
And so, Don, the inevitable murder occurred. The two young criminals fled the scene in the murdered man's automobile. But they had no idea how quickly a shiny button and a parcel post package could tell investigating officers exactly what they wanted to know.
April 10th, 1948, Gangbusters on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Gangbusters aired on radio from 1936 to 1957, airing on not only CBS, the Blue Network, and Mutual. And the shows were pretty fierce. Let's get back to Gangbusters. April 10th, 1948, the case of the High School Hotshots.
Now back to Gangbusters. You were telling us, Sheriff Westover, that the young criminals Joe Lehman and Maurice Shimmick had murdered payroll messenger Tom Boykin in Wayne County, Mississippi, then drove off in their victim's car with the loot.
That's right, John, but it wasn't long before the crime was discovered. It was obvious that the murder had been committed to obtain the payroll, and immediate investigation was started. As soon as I returned to my office from the scene of the crime, I phoned the police department at Meridian, Mississippi. There was a man there I knew might be of great help on the case, Detective Tom Harbour, one of the most famous homicide investigators in the South.
And the car hasn't shown up anyplace, Sheriff?
Not yet, Harbour, but I don't imagine they'll stay with it long. They'll be smart enough to know we've got alarms out all over.
Looks as if we're after a bad pair, Sheriff. Is there anything to go on?
Well, yes. Joe Henry, the game warden, happened to be passing by the scene. He saw the car parked there and these two boys walking toward it.
Did he get a good look at the boys?
No, not a very good look. The only thing he noticed was that one of them was tall, had on a bright blue sports coat, and it must have had brass buttons.
That's so.
Yes, you see, the buttons were reflecting in the sun as the game warden drove past the crossroads. They must have been brass or silver or some such metal.
Well, that's interesting.
I was wondering, Harbour, do you reckon if I spoke to your chief over there, you could get assigned to help us out for a while on this case?
Tell you what I'll do, Sheriff. I'll speak to Chief myself. I'm sure it'll be okay. If it is, I'll drive right over and get to work with you.
Oh, go on, Shim. Drink your beer. Stop worrying all the time, will you?
You talk like we got nothing to worry about. After all, we killed the guy.
For crying out loud, keep it down.
Okay. Gee, I didn't want this kind of trouble. All I wanted was a girl and some fun.
You got no trouble. That was in Mississippi. We're in Georgia. It's like another world.
Maybe. But you still should have done like I said. You should have thrown a gun in a river someplace instead of sending it to her.
And I'd need that gun again soon.
Gee, it don't seem safe to me. We should have buried it with that payroll money.
Hey.
What's the matter with you, Joe? Let go, will you? Let
you
go.
hitting Madge can't be trusted.
No, let go, please. I wasn't hinting nothing.
All right, then. Remember this. Maybe I pulled the trigger. But you can get just as much as me, just as much. If I pick us up, keep your mouth shut and we'll be okay.
Well, Sheriff, I think I've rounded up a pretty good description of those boys from people who saw them around town.
We'll need a pretty good one, Harbour. We've located the car.
Oh?
Yes, back in the woods near McLean. Not a good print on it anyplace, though. Nothing.
Well, didn't expect to pick them up in the car. That was too much to hope for.
Yes, I know it was, but you still hope anyway. Now, what about those descriptions, Harbour?
You know, Sheriff, the only thing we had to go on was a bright blue sport coat with brass or silver buttons. The one the game warden saw on the fella getting into Tom Boykin's car.
And that's not much.
Well, I figured maybe the boy wearing that jacket brought it in for cleaning or something.
And he did?
Yes. The third tailor shop I visited.
Mm-hmm.
The young fellow was in, had a jacket just like that, pressed.
Well.
I got a pretty good description of him. Taylor remembered him perfectly. He asked about a good place to eat in town. Taylor recommended Mrs. Hudson's. And the two of them ate there that night.
Good work, Harbor.
And Mrs. Hudson gave me a pretty good idea what the other one looks like.
Well, that's fine, Harbor, fine. But one thing has been bothering me. You know, there is an awful good chance these might not be the two boys who killed Boykin.
I know it.
After all, the game warden saw them from a distance and only for a moment.
Well, they're the most likely suspects. So, suppose we get out descriptions of these two to every law enforcement agency in the South. Maybe someone can put his hands on them for us.
The Chief of Police, LaGrange, Georgia, to the Sheriff, Wayne County, Mississippi, holding two young men, giving names Joseph Lehman and Maurice Shimmick. Answer description, wanted circular reaching here. Both admit presence in Waynesboro, approximate date, but deny any part of murder. No evidence to contrary. Advise.
From Sheriff, Wayne County, Mississippi, to Chief of Police, LaGrange, Georgia, hold suspects, leaving immediately for your city.
What's the matter, Detective Harbor? You don't look like my answers make you happy.
I don't, Joe. You still haven't given me a good reason for your visiting Waynesboro. Particularly visiting Waynesboro on the day Tom Boykin was held up and murdered.
Look, you keep bringing that up. I keep telling you we had nothing to do with it.
And why were you in Waynesboro?
We were traveling all over. We just happened to be there. You can ask Shim.
Well, thanks for the suggestion, but the sheriff's in there asking him now.
Listen, since when is it a crime to visit someplace?
Well, visiting isn't any crime. Come on with me.
Where?
In the... Oh. You're sure this is your sport jacket?
Of course I'm sure.
You're positive you didn't steal it from anyone?
I bought it. I bought it at the famous in Maylene, Alabama. I can prove it.
Well, as long as you can prove it.
Look, when are you going to let us go? We didn't do a thing. I tell you, not a thing.
Come on.
It won't do you any good to lie, son.
I'm not lying. We didn't kill anybody, Sheriff. We didn't do a thing wrong.
Hello, Shim. Don't let these policemen scare you.
I'm not scared, Joe. Why should I be scared? I didn't do anything.
That's the way.
Well, neither of you have to be frightened.
Now, look, we know you got a job to do, Sheriff.
Yeah, no hard feelings.
That's the right attitude, boys.
But when do we get out?
That's a question.
What do you mean it's a question? You got no right to hold us if we're innocent.
Well, we could start extradition proceedings, take you back to Mississippi.
Well, why don't you?
We will if we have to.
What do you mean, if you have to?
Exactly this, boys. If you'll agree to come back to Waynesboro with us, we promise not to put you in jail until we get this thing cleared up.
Why should we?
Well, you were interested in seeing this thing straightened out, aren't you?
Well, look, it's your job to straighten it out, not mine. We didn't kill anybody. We won't go back with you. Why should we?
What do you mean you won't put us in jail? Where will you put us?
We'll get you a room at the hotel with a deputy to keep you company.
Company? Huh.
But, on the other hand, we can start extradition proceedings right away, and chances are we'll get you anyway. In that case, it'll have to be jail.
You mean that about the hotel?
Yes.
All right, we'll go back with you.
Joe.
Why not? They'll put us up in a hotel.
Gee, I don't know.
Why should we take the chance of laying out in jail? We can live like kings in a hotel. The week of 10 days will be out. We didn't do nothing.
Okay, Joe. If you think it's best.
All right, Mr. Harbor. We'd like to see that you get this thing cleared up. We'll go back with you. That is, if you give me your word about the hotel.
Sheriff, you have my word. You two can stay at the hotel. We won't put anybody in jail until we're positive who the murderers are.
Yes?
Good evening.
What is it?
You're Madge Thomas?
That's right.
My name's Tom Harbor. I'm with the Meridian, Mississippi Police Department.
Meridian, Mississippi.
Yes, I came all the way to Mobile to see you. May I come in?
Okay, if you want.
Thanks.
What did you want to see me about?
I believe you're acquainted with a young man named Joe Lehman.
Joe Lehman? Well, no, I don't think so.
You're the only Madge Thomas at this address?
As far as I know.
And this is your handwriting?
Well...
Is it or isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's quite a torrid love letter you wrote to Joe Lehman, a young man you don't even know.
All right, I know him. I know lots of men. His name just slipped my mind for a minute.
I can imagine. Joe wouldn't like to hear that. Sure, he thinks a lot of you. You know, he thinks so much of you, he had that letter sewn in the lining of his jacket just to keep it close.
I can't help what he thinks of me. I barely know him. He's just a kid.
What's that in there? Kitchen?
Yes, it's the kitchen. What do you want with me?
The letter said your last received, darling. And the package came a few days later. What package?
Say, what's this all about, anyway?
I'll tell you what it's all about. Your Joe and another young fellow are suspected of committing murder.
Murder?
Yes, and robbery.
April 10th, 1948, Gangbusters here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll hear the conclusion of Gangbusters following these important messages from your favorite radio station. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Gangbusters, the case of the High School Hotshots, April 10th, 1948.
I want to see what was in that package he sent you.
It wasn't anything, only a present. Hey, he sends me presents all the time. All the time.
That may be so, but if what I think is in that package, you can be held as an accessory after the fact.
Me?
That's who I'm talking about. You can go to the penitentiary.
Oh, no.
And there's no beauty parlors, no silk stockings, and no men.
Look, it was a gun in the package. I didn't know what it was for.
Where is it?
He just said keep it.
Where's the gun?
It's right over here. Right here.
Get it.
There it is in the drawer. I haven't touched it since it came. I didn't know what it was for, honest.
Well, that's to be determined.
I'll cooperate. I'll do anything.
All right, you can start cooperating right now. There's a train back in an hour. We'll be on it.
For crying out loud, Shim, will you light someplace?
Oh, okay.
Back and forth. Will you be like me? Relax. We got a few days in the hotel. The county's paying the bills. Take it easy. Enjoy it.
What do you think they're finding out? What do you suppose?
Shut up, will you? How many times do I have to tell you they might have the joint wired?
Oh, who cares?
Where's your guts? They haven't got a thing on us. Can't hold us much longer. They gotta let us go.
When they take that deputy away from the door, I'll believe it. Until then, no.
Just stick it out. All right, now quiet. Come in.
Hello, boys.
Hello, Mr. Harbour. Sheriff.
Well, Sheriff and I have some news for you.
No kidding.
That's right.
Oh, you see, Shim, I told you everything would be all right. They're not going to hold us in the hotel anymore, are you?
Is that right?
That's right.
Well, we tried to help you out, Sheriff, but you know we didn't have anything to do with that killing.
No, we didn't, really.
All right, boys. Get your things together.
Well, it's kind of late today. I think we'll stay in the room tonight. We'll be on our way tomorrow, huh? That's okay with you?
I'm afraid it's not okay with us. We're moving you over to the county jail.
The county jail?
Hey, what's the matter? What happened?
We located your girlfriend, Madge, and we located the murder gun.
Oh, no.
Shut up, Shim. It's a stall. You didn't locate a thing. You're trying to trick us.
No trick. We got Madge at the sheriff's office. You can see your gun with your own eyes. You can see how a bullet taken from it compares with the bullets taken from Tom Boykin's body. Now get your things together and make it snappy. You're changing accommodations.
Well, that, Don, was how the case was finally closed. Joseph Lehman and Maurice Shimmick, who thought they were smart enough to get away with robbery and murder, were convicted by a Wayne County jury, and both were electrocuted in the state of Mississippi.
Well, Sheriff Westover, you brought a special guest to our Gangbuster studio tonight.
Yes, Don, and he's here for a very important reason. He's 15-year-old Edward Michel, specially sent to our Gangbusters program tonight as the representative of the Madison Square Boys Club of New York. Meet Don Gardner, Eddie.
Hello, Mr. Gardner.
Well, hello, Eddie. I understand that you, speaking for the Madison Square Boys Club, which is a member of the Boys Club of America, have something very important to tell our Gangbusters listeners. So go right ahead, Eddie.
Thanks, Mr. Gardner. We fellows of the Madison Square Boys Club like Gangbusters. We know what Gangbusters shows is the truth. Crime is wrong. No matter how smart they think they are, criminals always get caught. Most American fellows are law-abiding and straight. And if those two fellows we heard about tonight had been members of a boys' club, chances are they would have been all right, too. Fellows who belong to boys' clubs know that trying to get fast, easy money only leads to trouble, and they're glad that Gangbusters is showing people, especially young fellows, how wrong and how dumb crime is.
Well, thank you, Eddie Michel, for coming here tonight and bringing our Gangbusters listeners this message from your boys' club. And thank you, Sheriff Westover, for a most significant case. Tonight's case was dramatized by Stanley Niss and directed by William Sweets, with Bob Reddick and Alan Stevenson in leading roles. Don Gardner speaking. Gangbusters is a Phillips H. Lord production.
Of course, after yours truly, Johnny Dollar moved from Hollywood to New York, and Bob Bailey was no longer Johnny. Bob Reddick would be the first Johnny Dollar in the New York era. April 10th, 1948, Gangbusters here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. All right, now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, a real dog day for yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Part 2 of the 5-part episode, the Laird Douglas of Heatherscote matter. This particular episode, originally broadcast April 10th, 1956. ARF.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar.
Ray Rowland, Johnny.
Oh, hi, Ray.
Just got your message. What are you doing in Philadelphia?
Oh, a case for Philly Mutual Liability and Casualty, and I may need your help. What do you know about Laird Douglas of Heatherscote?
Why, he's one of Scotland's finest. Wait a minute. That's your case?
Yep.
Insurance?
And bodyguard. How's about lunch?
Johnny, have you met his lairdship?
Yeah, and I nearly lost a leg doing it.
Oh, then you know.
Yeah, I know. Oh, shut up.
Tonight, and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Philadelphia Mutual Liability and Casualty Company in connection with my investigation, or rather my involvement in the Laird Douglas of Heatherscote matter. And I wish I'd had some idea of what I was getting into before I ever left Hartford. But it's too late now. Expense account item 3, $39.50. One pair of slacks. For within a few minutes of my arrival in Philadelphia, Harry Branson of Philly Mutual buttonholed me and dragged me up to his office to meet two important clients he had. First was Mrs. Peter Malcolm Kelly Van Pyton.
Oh, you wonderful, wonderful man. I am so glad that you've agreed to take on this assignment. Laird Douglas means everything to me, and I have the utmost confidence in you. I'm sure Laird Douglas will, too.
And then came, well, Mrs. Van Pyton made the introduction.
Laird Douglas of Heatherscote. This is Mr. Johnny Dollar.
Huh? Oh, no. Holy jumping...
Douglas! Oh, no, you mustn't do that.
Oh, my.
Douglas,
Oh, dear. Good heavens.
Get on your own chair,
Douglas,
Harry. This
no,
one's
no.
taken.
Sorry, John. Sorry.
Down, Douglas, down. There, dear, that's the boy. That's a nice boy.
That
Yes,
is
now.
Laird Douglas of Heatherscote?
Yes, isn't he adorable? He's so playful. He was really just playing, you know. There, dear, come now.
Harry.
Yes, John?
Back down.
This is the client you called me all the way down from Hartford to see?
Yes, John. Yes, $7.50 a week, practically unlimited expense account.
Oh, dear, just look at your trousers, Mr. Dollar.
I don't need to, thanks. I can feel the draft.
But you'll need new ones. Here. And I insist you let me pay for them. Down, Douglas, down. Here, Mr. Dollar. Will $100 be enough?
Gee.
No, here, $150. I can see those were very, very nice.
Well,
you see what I mean, John?
Here, please, now I insist you take it. And if it isn't
No,
enough...
no, thanks. That's plenty. But now, Harry, you listen to me.
John, I know what you're going to say, but as I explained to you on the way up
You
here to my
explained
office...
plenty, but not nearly enough.
But I tried. I really tried.
I think you
Boys.
and I had better have a quiet little talk, Harry, and the sooner the better.
Oh, boys, please, can't you do that another time? Please come down from those chairs so Mr. Dollar can meet Douglas and we can make all the arrangements. Please?
Mrs. Van Pyton, that's precisely what I want to talk about.
You really look very funny up there. And see, Douglas does want so much to be friends with you.
Yeah, you sure it isn't a piece of my leg he wants?
Oh, no, of course not. Here, Mr. Dollar, just give him one of these biscuits. I have them specially baked for him, and he'll be your friend for life. Really?
Huh?
Here, now just come down and hand it to him.
Well-
He'll love you.
It's true, John. I know.
Yeah? Then what are you doing up on that chair?
I forgot, that's all. Nice, Douglas.
Huh?
Please, Mr. Dollar.
Well, all I hope is he doesn't forget.
That's right. Just hand it to
And that he
him.
knows which is biscuit and which is my hand. Here, boy. Here, boy. Now, take it easy, take it easy. Oh!
There, you see. Now he's your friend.
Well.
Isn't that sweet?
Yeah, sure is. Well, I'd better get back to my hotel and change, and Harry, I'll call you.
Oh, but we haven't made the definite arrangements yet, and I want you staying out at our place in Germantown, the Maples. It's a lovely little place, Mr. Dollar.
Well, much as I hate to say it, I'm not quite sure about taking
Oh,
this
I
case.
know. The money. Well, don't you worry about it. Not at all, not one bit. If you'd rather have $1,000 a week, that's what we'll make it. And I do wish
Mrs.
you'd let
Van
me
Pyton.
do more about these poor trousers. I know. Why don't you go straight over to Wanamaker's men's store and have them tailor you a whole suit? Wouldn't that be nice? You'd look lovely.
You've already given me more than enough to buy a suit.
That. Now just forget it. Now you have them make you anything you want and just charge it to me. Oh, and look! Douglas dear is licking your hand. I knew he'd like you.
Never underestimate the power of a woman, somebody once said. Or maybe they should have said never underestimate the power of a fast buck or $1,000. Anyhow, Mrs. Peter Malcolm Kelly Van Pyton had set her heart on my handling this whole affair, and she simply wasn't to be denied. Couple that with a chance to pick up enough loot in a few days to, well, what would you do? And the darn mutt did take a liking to me. So, with Laird Douglas in my lap, oh, he's a Scotty, by the way.
Scottish Terrier, Mr. Dollar, if you'll pardon my correcting you.
Sorry.
And it's all because of the show at Ballakinwyd on Friday.
Balaware?
Balacynwyd, John.
Yes, Ballakinwyd. Laird Douglas simply must win. Not only best of class, but best of show. And he will, if somebody doesn't interfere.
Oh, you think somebody might do something to Douglas here?
I'm sure of it, because it's been tried before.
You mean poison him or something like that?
Worse.
Oh?
Dope. Poison would let him die a hero, a martyr. But drugs would keep him from winning the show.
Oh, yeah. Well, what makes you suspect somebody might try it?
As I said, it's been tried before.
Huh?
Last year and again a few days ago. And if Harrison R. Kenworthy thinks he can do it again, he's mistaken.
Then you know who did it before.
I refuse to divulge any names.
But you just said...
Mr. Dollar, I will not tell you. All I ask is that you watch over Laird Douglas until he has won the show. Oh, and if he does win, as I'm sure he will, I'll insist that you accept a nice bonus so you can see I'm very, very serious.
And so it went on for another half hour or so. And finally she left, after I promised to pick up my bags at the hotel and move out to her joint in fashionable Germantown. I talked a few minutes longer with Harry Branson.
I'm so glad you've agreed to take this on, John. As I told you, Mrs. Van Pyton is the most important individual policyholder we have, and doing this favor for us...
Harry, it's not the Mutt Show at Bala Kinwood or Laird Douglas or Mrs. Kelly Van Pyton or you I'm doing this for. It's purely love of the green stuff. Whew. That old dame must be really loaded.
John, she has so much money. She doesn't know how much she has. Industrial empire, that sort of thing.
All right. But, Harry, if word ever gets around in the trade that I came down here to play bodyguard to a mutt, so help me, I'll have your head.
Yes. But now hadn't you better go on out to the Maples?
Well, first I want to know about this Harrison R. Kenworthy she mentioned.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that. She accused him of doping up her Scotty.
Well, she really doesn't know, and it's really quite complicated.
How do you mean?
Kenworthy owns a beautiful Kerry Blue Terrier, Lady O'Diddy's Rolamar Maine.
Holy cats, and no pun. Why can't they give an honest dog an honest name? Look, we'll call her Mimi. Go ahead.
Hi, dog lovers.
Ray, just in time. Meet Harry Branson, Ray Rowland.
Oh, we know each other.
Hello, Harry boy.
Mr. Rowland.
Sure, Harry called me in last year when these two dogs were at each other's
Of course,
throats.
he doesn't mean that literally, John. You see, Mr. Rowland is quite an authority on show animals.
I've held it against him for years, ever since school.
Well, there's no need to hold it against him
And
particularly.
I don't mean that literally.
Oh.
Well, John boy, so you came down to help yourself to a handful of dear Mrs. Kelly Van Pyton's coin. More power to you. I knew Harry would call you in on the case, felt it in my bones. And, brother, you may be in deeper than you think.
Oh, what's that supposed to mean, Ray?
Has Harry told you about the villain of the piece, Harrison R. Kenworthy?
I was just starting to when you so rudely...
Yeah, well, Johnny, the whole setup is a riot, but just remember one thing.
Yeah?
A lot of people have been killed in riots.
Now, what's that supposed to mean?
I'll tell you what he means.
Let me tell it, Harry. It would take you all day. Sorry, no offense.
All right.
Go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
Okay, Bala Kinwood is the biggest event of the year in the doggy set, okay?
Okay.
All right. Mrs. Kelly Van Pyton owns Laird Douglas of Heatherscote. Real fine Scotty.
Yeah, good teeth, see?
Hey, those pants are really gone. Anyhow, Harrison Kenworthy owns Lady O'Diddy's Rolamar Meme. Kerry Blue.
Mimi.
Huh?
I'd get indigestion trying to say that other name.
Okay, Mimi. They're two pretty good dogs, especially Mimi. International championship blood and all that. But Mimi's the better dog. Douglas won't stand a chance. I've tried to tell her this, but...
Well, go on.
Okay. Harrison Kenworthy loves Kelly Van Pyton, see?
Oh, loves her money.
Him? He's loaded, too. No, I think the old coot really loves her, and I think she loves him. Right, Harry?
Yes, I think I'm inclined
right,
to...
but now get this.
Yeah?
She won't marry him until her Laird Douglas beats his Lady O'Diddy, Mimi, far and square at the Bala Kinwood show. How do you like that?
Are you kidding?
Oh, no, John, it's an accepted fact.
Right. So what happens? For over a year
Wait a minute,
now...
Ray, wait a minute. If he really wants to marry her, why doesn't he just let her dog beat his?
And let her be one up on him right from the start? Never. No, boy, he'd never live it down. You don't know these people.
Well, this is about the craziest thing I ever heard of.
To you and me, sure, but to them it's deadly serious.
Are they in love with each other or with their dogs?
Well, it's not just love where the dogs are concerned, but pride, which is just about all a lot of these old lonely millionaires have to think about, to live for. Yea, sometimes even unto the 5th and 6th generations.
Yeah, okay, I'll take your word for it. But now she said something about her dog being doped at the show last year.
Oh, yes, John. You see, it was just a couple of days...
Right, just before the finals. It was an attempt to murder the dog with poison, but emergency care both times pulled Laird Douglas through.
She told me it was only some kind of a dope that was used.
Oh, sure. We kept the truth from her. You don't realize it, boy, but if that dog were to die, she would. Fact.
Oh, now, Ray.
Oh, yes, John, and the insurance company must keep that dog alive in order to obviate having to pay off...
Right.
After all, her policies amount to over half...
It may sound absurd to you, Johnny, but it's no joke. As I said, you don't know these people.
But look, it still doesn't make any sense.
You'll just have to take my word for it, and it's happened right here in Philadelphia.
Yes, John, and we held the policy. It was an old lady...
Right, so there you have it.
Okay, I'll believe you. And so the finger points at Harrison R. Kenworth.
Well, she might like to think that, especially since she doesn't know that poison was used both times, but I don't. What's more, the police feel the same.
Oh, now, if you say police dogs, I'll slug you.
John, there are times when this sense of
right,
humor of
Harry,
yours...
dead right, and I do mean dead. No, in all seriousness, Johnny, if I were you, I'd duck out of this assignment.
Now, don't say that, Ray, unless John is...
No, go ahead and say it. Something ought to start to make sense around here.
All right, listen. The reason I'm sure Harrison R. Kenworthy had nothing to do with the attempted poisonings, the reason the police were called in, the reason I think you ought to get out
to
of
the
this...
point, Ray?
On each occasion, Mrs. Kelly Van Pyton had a bodyguard attending Laird Douglas, in addition to the dog's governess and medicos and so on.
Get to the point.
Each time, in order for the poisoner to get to that dog...
Ray, please.
Each time, the bodyguard was murdered. Still want this case, Johnny?
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, well, the joke's no longer a joke, especially when a killer trains his sights on me. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. It is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone, who also wrote tonight's story. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
Not much of a laughing matter for Johnny. April 10th, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Want to get some Johnny Dollar programs of your own? Go to Ted at RadioMemories.com. He supplies shows on cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer. Visit Ted at RadioMemories.com and hear shows just as good as this. RadioMemories.com. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Thank this station. Support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite station. Miss a day? You don't have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on demand at classicradio.stream. Classicradio.stream. Stream our shows. Learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me, find our social media links, and if you're so inclined to help us out, you can buy me a coffee. That'll help us acquire additional classic radio collections and keep our distribution channels up and running. Classicradio.stream. Thank this radio station, support their advertisers, tell your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.